Hey everybody, today we're going to be doing a video about this book, Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. It's one of my favorite books that I've read so far in this last year or so, and it goes over a lot of really important themes, including human nature, sin nature, guilt, and American history, which is always a plus. It describes in pretty gruesome detail events that are based off of possible real events, some of them actually real events, and it goes into a lot of sort of inquisition of what it is to be human, um, what it is to be someone who is worthy of judgment, and what that judgment looks like. Um, some of the important aspects of the style would be its biblical style. It is written in a very flourished way. But it's still very succinct. It's still very American in its writing. It would probably still score pretty high on a Hemingway score, if you know what that is. It's not very hard to read, but it does contain a lot of imagery, and it contains a lot of callbacks to that sort of Old Testament style of writing. So to give you an example of that, I'm going to read a couple of sentences from the 5th chapter. It begins like this: "With darkness one soul rose wondrously from among the new slain dead and stole away in the moonlight. The ground where he'd lain was soaked with blood and with urine from the voided bladders of the animals, and he went forth stained and stinking like some reeking issue of the incarnate dam of war herself." There's very few commas or punctuation in this. They don't use, or Cormac McCarthy does not use quotation marks when he does his dialogue. But the style is very simple. It's very easy to follow once you get the rhythm of it, and it does a lot for the reader if you're really trying to get into not only the story itself, but getting into the themes which McCarthy takes on in his writing. But one of the reasons it's really important while we're going over modern versus postmodern is, despite the style and despite its very Americanness, it is very much postmodern. It talks about morality from a perspective that understands that understanding that there is no morality, because of course one of the important characters, probably the most important character of the book, is named the judge. But in spite of that, the idea that with morality, with moral guideposts, human nature falls short of that, and human nature decides to do things far outside of the bounds of moral quandary. Man doesn't use morals, one might say, in most of his decisions, and that's what this book really insightfully portrays. That's why there's no flat out good characters, there's no flat out evil characters, or to say that there's any antagonist. You could say that the main character, the kid, and the character known as the judge are antagonistic of each other. They do antagonize one another in a certain sense through the book, but there's no clear-cut example of when someone's doing the right thing for the right reasons, doing that against someone who's doing something bad. The Indians are not portrayed necessarily as innocent all the time, and obviously neither are the main characters, neither are the scalp hunters or the Texas Rangers, I think it is, at the beginning of the book. There's always, it's not that there's a moral ambiguity either. It's really that there is an understanding of human nature that pierces through that idea about the law and what is just, and understands that human beings make decisions outside of that constantly, without fail. And aside from that, it's just a really well-written book. It's got a lot of great style to it, and I think if you, listening to those couple passages, or that one little passage, thought it might be something that you would be interested in, or if in reading the first several pages it really catches your eye, you'll probably finish it. It's a pretty fast read once you get the hang of the style. If it's not your style, you can peek through it for a little bit, but I wouldn't recommend taking too much time reading the whole thing if it's not something you're going to enjoy, because literature is something that's definitely meant to be enjoyed, obviously. And this is just, for me at least, especially having gone through Hemingway and touched into a little bit of Melville. This is just really right. This was really right up my alley when I started it. Just magnificently written. Has a lot of very poignant areas, and it leaves a lot of room within the story so that you can take up criticism, examination, not only of the story but of yourself, of history, obviously, because this is extremely historically based novel. And yeah, I hope some of you just from this little video get the inspiration to go pick it up and give it a try. I know there's a free audiobook on YouTube. If you look it up, that might give you a better read through experience. It helped me, I know. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed just a little bit of some basic overlay of the novel, a little bit of analysis, and hopefully it gets you inspired to really go dive into that and get the most out of it that you can, especially because of the theological grounding. I would say it's very much in the same line as Melville, at least, because it has that very Presbyterian theology. It has that very Christian understanding of human nature. So especially if you're going to go at it from that perspective, I think it'll be really an excellent read for you, and it'll give you a lot to think about. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and you guys have a great day.